The sweetest fruit you will ever taste is not sitting in a grocery store. It is not wrapped in plastic, picked 2 weeks early, shipped across 3 time zones, and ripened under fluorescent lights. The sweetest melon you will ever eat is the one you grow yourself, harvested at the exact moment of perfection, still warm from the afternoon sun. And here is the secret they do not want you to know. Growing melons in your home garden is not difficult. It is not reserved for farmers with acres of land. It is not some mysterious art passed down through generations of agricultural specialists. You can do this in your backyard, on your patio, even in containers on a sunny balcony. This is the complete guide to growing melons at home. Let us start with a fundamental truth about melons that changes everything. These plants are sun worshippers. Cucumis melo, the species that includes cantaloupes, honeydews, and dozens of other varieties, evolved in the hot, arid regions of Africa and Southwest Asia. They spent millions of years adapting to conditions most garden plants cannot tolerate: intense heat, full sun exposure, dry air. When you understand this origin, successful melon growing becomes intuitive. You are not fighting the plant's nature. You are recreating its ancestral home. The minimum requirement is 6 hours of direct sunlight. But here is what experienced growers know. 8 hours is better. 10 hours is ideal. Every additional hour of sun translates directly into sugar content. That is not poetry. That is photosynthesis. The plant converts sunlight into sucrose, fructose, and glucose. More light means more sugar, means sweeter fruit. If you have a choice between a convenient spot with afternoon shade and an inconvenient spot with all-day sun, choose the inconvenient spot. Your taste buds will thank you. Soil preparation is where amateur gardeners often fail. They dig a hole, drop in a transplant, and wonder why their melons taste bland and watery. Here is the approach that works. Melons are heavy feeders with extensive root systems. They need soil that is loose, well-draining, and rich in organic matter. Start by working compost into your planting area to a depth of 12 inches. Add aged manure, if you have access to it. The ideal soil pH ranges from 6.0 to 6.8. Most garden centers sell inexpensive testing kits. This 15-minute investment prevents months of frustration. Now, let us discuss the great debate: seeds versus transplants. Both approaches work, but the strategy depends on your climate. If you live in a region with at least 4 months of warm weather, direct seeding is perfectly viable. Wait until soil temperatures reach 70 degrees Fahrenheit. This is non-negotiable. Melon seeds will not germinate in cold soil. They will sit there, vulnerable to rot and fungal attack, accomplishing nothing. Use a soil thermometer. Do not guess. For gardeners in cooler climates, starting seeds indoors 3 to 4 weeks before the last frost date gives you a critical head start. Use peat pots or biodegradable containers. Melon roots resent disturbance, and transplanting from plastic pots often damages the fine root hairs that absorb nutrients. With biodegradable pots, you plant the entire container directly into the ground. The roots grow through the walls as the material breaks down. Problem solved. Spacing matters more than most beginners realize. These are not compact plants. A single melon vine can spread 12 feet in every direction. Plant hills 3 to 4 feet apart for compact varieties. 6 feet for larger types like watermelons. Each hill should contain 2 to 3 plants after thinning. Yes, thinning feels wasteful. You are removing healthy seedlings that you worked to germinate. But overcrowded melons produce smaller fruit with inferior flavor. Thin ruthlessly. Watering is where the real art begins. Melons need consistent moisture during the vegetative growth phase and the early fruit development stage. 1 to 2 inches per week is the standard recommendation. But here is the nuance that separates good melons from great ones. As your fruit approaches maturity, reduce watering significantly. This concentrates the sugars. Commercial growers call this the dry down period. Begin reducing water when your melons reach full size but before they ripen. The fruit will develop that intense complex sweetness that makes homegrown melons incomparable to anything in a store. Drip irrigation or soaker hoses are far superior to overhead watering. Wet foliage invites fungal diseases that can devastate your crop. Powdery mildew, downy mildew, and anthracnose all spread through water droplets on leaves. Keep the foliage dry, and you eliminate most disease problems before they start. Let us talk about pollination, because this is where many home gardeners encounter their first mystery. Your plants are flowering beautifully. Dozens of bright yellow blossoms open each morning, but no fruit appears. What is happening? Melons produce separate male and female flowers on the same plant. Male flowers appear first, sometimes a full week before any females. They have thin stems and contain pollen-producing structures. Female flowers have a tiny swollen bulge at the base that will become the fruit after successful pollination. Here is the critical point. Bees and other pollinators must transfer pollen from male to female flowers. No pollination, no fruit. If you are gardening in an area with declining bee populations, or if you are growing melons in an enclosed space, you may need to hand pollinate. This is simple. Use a small brush or cotton swab. Collect pollen from inside a male flower and transfer it to the center of a female flower. Do this in the morning when flowers are fresh. One successful pollination is all each flower needs. Pests will find your melons. Accept this reality. Cucumber beetles are the most common attackers, and they vector bacterial wilt disease, which is nearly always fatal to infected plants. Row covers provide excellent protection during the early growth stages. Remove them when flowers appear so pollinators can access the blossoms. Aphids cluster on the undersides of leaves, sucking plant juices and transmitting viruses. A strong spray of water knocks them off. For severe infestations, insecticidal soap works without harming beneficial insects. Vine borers are more insidious. The adult moths lay eggs at the base of stems. Larvae hatch and tunnel inside, causing sudden wilting that looks like drought stress, but does not respond to watering. Prevention is the only reliable strategy. Wrap the lower 6 inches of stems with aluminum foil or floating row cover material to prevent egg laying. Harvesting at the right moment is perhaps the most important skill. An unripe melon is flavorless. An overripe melon is mushy and fermented. The window of perfection lasts only 2 to 3 days. For cantaloupes, watch for the slip test. Press gently where the stem meets the fruit. A ripe melon separates cleanly with minimal pressure. This is called full slip. The fruit is ready. For honeydews, look for color change from green to creamy yellow, and a slight softening at the blossom end. Watermelons require different indicators. The tendril closest to the fruit turns brown and dry when the melon is ripe. The spot where the fruit rests on the ground changes from white to cream or yellow. Tap the melon. A ripe fruit produces a hollow, resonant sound. An unripe melon sounds flat. The entire growing process takes between 70 and 90 days from transplant to harvest, depending on variety. That is 3 months of attention, watering, pest monitoring, and patience. But the reward is extraordinary. A perfectly ripe melon from your own garden, eaten within hours of harvest, is a revelation. The flavor complexity, the aroma, the texture, none of it survives commercial handling and transportation. This is food as it was meant to be eaten. This is the connection between soil and sustenance that our ancestors understood intuitively, and that modern food systems have severed. You can rebuild that connection. One melon plant at a time. One season at a time. The seeds are waiting. The sun is shining. Your garden is ready. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to like this video.